Good evening. Welcome to On Another Levels Book Club, Authors Babble, where we're getting up close and personal with author Deborah A. Rhodes, author of The Day Hate Stood Still. Miss Rhodes, welcome and thank you for joining us on this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here with you.
Okay, well tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Give us a little information about where you came up.
Okay, so I'm originally from Chicago. That's where I was born and bred. Spent
Shout
most of my life
out.
there. Yes, 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 yes. Um, I am currently an on-air personality at a local radio station.
Nice.
I've been with the radio station for 22 years now. Yeah, and yeah, um, so that's what I do during the day. I
Mhm,
love my job there. Like I said, I've been there for 22 years, and it's a
mhm.
gospel radio station. So I
Okay.
get the opportunity to do a daily show with my co-host Norris Thompson,
Mhm.
and we have the chance to interview all kinds of people, all gospel artists, and talk about the things that they're doing. But my passion from when I was growing up has
Mhm.
always been storytelling.
Okay.
And so that's why I kind of made a little transition and went from full time to part time
Mhm.
to focus more so on my writing.
Okay, so you say your passion have always been writing.
Mm-hmm.
At what age did you realize that you wanted to become a writer?
Ooh, I don't think I realized that I wanted to become a writer until sometime in my adult years.
Okay,
I
okay.
always knew that I had the ability to tell a story. I've been
Hmm.
knowing that since a little girl. I can make up things just like that. But the to formalize it and think about becoming a writer, I
Hmm.
think I might have been in my, I don't know, my early 30s.
Okay.
And it all started because I was working at a job
Hmm.
at a statistical software company. Now,
Wow.
I have no interest in that, no background or anything. I have a degree in journalism.
Hmm.
Um, but I was working at this job and I absolutely hated the position. I hated it with everything in me. And I started writing this story.
Hmm.
And I started showing it to my friends and some of my family members, and they were like, "What are you going to do with this?" And that's how the fire started
Okay.
burning. Hmm.
So that original story, did that end up being a novel?
No, it's just
Okay.
in my collection
Oh,
of
okay.
of
Okay.
unfinished work. Yeah,
Mm. Do you
yeah.
ever go back and reread those works and get ideas, or do you have any desire to actually publish those writings or journal writing entries in the future?
Yeah, so in my mind I do,
Mm.
but I don't think in reality, I don't think it's going to happen. Sometimes you can move so far away from something, at least for
Mm.
me, I can move so far away from it that I'm not I don't have that passion for it. It
Okay.
might spark an interest in me, but I don't think I'll
Mhm.
write the story anymore. Mm-mm. No,
So
it's
tell us a
over.
little bit about the day hate stood still. Now, in my 27 public years, I
Hmm.
can think of many of days where this title could have had a great impact. Where just give us a teaser.
Yeah,
What does the day hate stood still? What is that about?
yeah. So it's probably about, some of those moments in your life where
Mhm.
things were going on and you were like, I need this to stop for just a
Uh-huh.
minute. I need this to stop. But this is about the Box family. And the Box family, this is actually part two to the first book that I
Oh, okay.
wrote. So I'll give you a little background about the first one and then we'll move up here. So
Mhm.
the Box family, they migrate to Chicago from East St. Louis in the early 60s. And there is a murder that takes place within the family once they get to Chicago.
Mhm.
And now they decide that they need to open up and start telling the family secrets as to what really went down and why this murder happened. And the person who was killed, he gets to tell his side of the story too. So after we end why, we move up about 20 years later and still in Chicago, and the same family is still dealing with some of these demons that
Mhm.
held them captives 20 years before. And so now they have to figure out how they're going to get to a point of forgiveness and redemption. My
Okay.
lead character, Ella Box, she is living the best life she could possibly live. She has her husband of her dreams. They finally have their child. They're living in the upscale neighborhood in South Carolina
Mhm.
and just doing everything that they wanted to do. And she gets a phone call from her father telling her that her mother is dying and he needs her to come and help him take care of her. The
Mhm.
problem is, her and her mother have never gotten along. And so she's faced with this dilemma as to, am I going to honor my father's wishes and go take care of this woman and try to reconcile this, or am I going to keep living my best life and leave that up to you?
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
what's the name of the first novel?
why? WHY.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
WHY. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that
So
is the name of the first one.
the information in your book, where did you get your inspiration for these books?
So I got the inspiration for why. One day, my mother and one of her sisters, they came to visit me, and they were talking about an uncle of theirs who liked to kiss his nieces in the mouth. They didn't like that. So the good thing for them is nothing, illicit ever happened, but they were just expressing how they didn't like it. And I
Mhm.
started thinking, well, what about all those little girls whose story is not so innocent? What's going on with them?
Right.
And so that's what gave me the inspiration to start writing it. And I just started jotting down different scenarios. How would I react if something like this happened to my child?
Mhm.
Or how would I have reacted if it happened to me? you know. So I just started asking these different questions. One of them was, why would God allow little girls to be molested by the very men who claim to love them?
Mhm.
Why does this happen?
Right.
And that's what just got me going. So because I'm always asking questions about everything. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that
So, what
that was my.
overall message you want to get out when it comes to your book? Because I know, as a Black culture, a lot of times things are swept under the rug and
Mhm.
never really discussed. What's the overall message you want to get out?
The overall message for the first book is that we have to protect our children at all costs. And
Mm-hmm.
those are children that we have given birth to or children that we have charge over in any capacity. It's our responsibility to
Yes.
take care of them and protect them. We need to look for signs of things that are
Mm-hmm.
changing in them or things that are going on with them. Uh, people don't, your children behave in a certain way. And if
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden they start to change, that's
Right.
when you need to step in and say, what's going on here? Why are you
Mm-hmm.
doing this? And not be so quick to just accuse them of acting out. They're acting
Right.
out for a reason. They're
Mm-hmm.
acting out for a reason. And if your child, your little girls, they don't want to go sit on so and so's lap or, be next to so and so,
Yes.
don't make them.
Yes.
Don't make them. Just
Mm-hmm.
and don't worry about hurting that grown person's feelings. Don't
Right.
worry about that. This is your baby. That's your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing that I want people to take away from this.
Love it.
Protect your kids.
Yes. Yes.
Protect them. The one thing I do want to say about why is, a lot of times you hear stories of child molestation and you think that it's just so everything is down and heavy and I don't know if I really want to get into that. In this particular book, I uh-oh, I take you on a journey of this family's life
Mm-hmm.
where we go through ups, we go through downs, we have times where you are upset, and we have times where you're actually laughing and you really want to know what else is going on with these characters. So I make them as three-dimensional as I possibly
Okay.
can,
Okay.
even with the person who committed this crime,
Mm-hmm.
who was the molester. I tell, I let that person tell their story too.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to know who he was.
Right.
Um, I'm not trying to make you like him or dislike him. I just want you to understand his story so that you can have a clear understanding. And maybe it can help you, somebody, in real life, when you look at people, you understand where they're coming from
Right. Right.
and you know how to navigate those waters.
Hmm. So,
Hmm.
from your reviews, from reaction feedback from families and friends, what type of feedback have you received regarding the book?
Well, the majority of the people that have read the book, number one, they have enjoyed the book.
Hmm.
I was really surprised that when I started telling my friends that I was writing this book, that so many of them had experienced this in their own lives. Men,
Right.
and that was a big surprise to me. Um, Also, ooh, people, they say that it reads very real
Hmm.
and they want to make this be my story. Some people say that I'm in denial about my childhood and that this really did happen to me, but I've
Hmm.
pushed it to the side. I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to believe, okay, fine with me.
It says
So
a
they,
lot about your writing, though.
yeah, so they say it reads very real,
Hmm.
and most people have read it um, within a few days.
Hmm.
Once they pick it up, they can't seem to put it down. And the biggest thrill for me was that it won a literary fiction award a couple of years ago from the African American Arts Alliance. So I was
Congratulations.
very proud of that. Thank you. Thank you. And this first book is in the process of being turned into a movie.
What?
So I've
Okay.
just finished the options rights for
Mhm.
that.
Okay.
So yeah, we can talk about that a little bit later. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. You know when the auditions are and things like that, so I can.
Okay, I'll remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Sharon in
So,
Dallas needs a part.
definitely, definitely. So you talk about the character in the book that does the molestation, and
Hmm.
I'm already frowning down on him.
Yes.
Does it give some insight? And you kind of touched on it on um, having grace and understanding for those on the other side of the crime of the act.
Hmm. Well, I don't know if it gives grace
Hmm.
to that to his name is Do Man. I don't know if we give grace to Do Man, but
Hmm.
we do understand where Do Man came from because Do Man tells us what happened in his own life
Hmm.
and why he behaved the way that he behaved. So the biggest thing is you walk away with an understanding of him. Now you may not like you still more than you're not going to like him, but you will at
Okay.
least understand who he was and why he did the things that he did.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I'm not sure about the grace part. That's the first time anyone has ever asked me, is there any grace for him?
Okay.
Um, I don't know. Is forgiveness? Would you put forgiveness and grace up there at the together? I don't
That's a
know.
good question.
I
That's
don't
a hard
know.
one.
Yeah. But if you
No.
because now each chapter in the book is dedicated to a different character.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're speaking their own truth, their own story.
Hmm.
Um, this is the first book. They're speaking their story. So you get
Okay.
to hear it directly from them. So you can be the judge as to whether or not they should receive grace.
Okay. I will be the
Mhm.
judge. So how long did it take you to write the book? And are you with a publishing company or are you self-published?
Okay. So I am self-published, and it took me over 8 years to write this first book.
Hmm.
And it took 8 years, I guess, for the same reason it takes multiple years for most new authors.
Hmm.
Just not being focused or serious about what I was doing. It was more of um, I'm mad at my job right now, so I'm going to start writing. And then I'll write 2 or 3 pages, and whatever was going on the job at that particular time died down. And
Right.
now I'm back and I'm good. And, then I went through a divorce. And so now I'm going to write some more. Well,
Hmm.
now I'm done with that and I'm moving on. I'm raising a child, so just life stuff kept happening. And at the end of 8 years, I only had 50 pages done. And so Fortunately, I had a dear friend who decided she was going to be my accountability coach. And when she stepped in and laid down the ground rules for me, I was at a point where I was ready to get complete this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I had enough respect for her to adhere to the rules that she had laid down. And we did it. And within 4 months, I had a complete book.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a
So,
complete
from the
book.
time you started writing this book and today, what advice would you give young Deborah as a future author? What advice would you give yourself?
Hmm. One, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid to ask for some help.
Mm-hmm.
And your ideas are valuable. And other people are interested in what it is that you are doing because you have something of value to
Mm-hmm.
bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
People will listen to you. Maybe the whole world won't listen to you, but there is a group of people out there who you have something to impart to. So
Okay.
go forth and do it. That's what I would tell young Deb.
Love it. Love it.
Hmm.
So, writing, I know, is a tedious and a long process. What are
Hmm.
some quirks, some things that you have to do when you're in your writing zone? Are there certain foods you have to eat, certain things you have to have to be
No,
productive?
I have to have complete silence.
Okay.
Yeah, I need silence. I need, it's funny because when I wrote the first book,
Uh-huh.
I was, I had just gotten divorced. Not just gotten divorced, I was divorced. And I had a laptop that I had in my bed with me. That was my bed partner.
Mm-hmm.
So every morning I woke up and I immediately pulled it on top of my lap and started working. So I wrote that book in my bed. The second book, now I'm married again,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to write it, and I had lived, now I live in a different house. So I was trying to find my space to
Mm-hmm.
write, but I just didn't have it. And finally, I had to convert a room into an office, buy an actual desk, because I told myself, this is not a hobby for you. You've done the first book. You are an actual author now.
Yeah,
So behave like one. So now I have to get up and I have to go to my office and sit at my desk and write. That's what I have to do. And I have
definitely.
to write in the morning.
Okay. In the
Yeah.
mornings.
In the morning,
Are
first
you
thing.
ever waking up out of your sleep with an idea or some type of character development?
Um, not often. Not
Okay.
often. Maybe during the day I am, and I will jot that down. But
Mm-hmm.
when I'm asleep, I'm usually asleep.
Okay.
I'm
I'm the
usually
same way.
asleep.
Or brick wall.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, for any of our any aspiring writers that we have listening to us, what are some common traps that writers tend to fall into when they're beginning the writing process?
Mm. Let's see. Some common traps. One, thinking that this bolt of inspiration is going to strike you and you're just going to write the book in like 5 days,
Uh huh.
you know. Um, the other is second guessing yourself,
Mm.
not believing that your story is good enough to be told or shared with other
Mm.
people. And then sharing your writing with people that are too critical.
Mm.
This is a very tender time for you. So when you start off this process, you need to be around people who are only going to encourage you, even if it's the worst thing that they have ever read. Because if
Mm.
someone comes down too hard on you, it will kill you and you will
Right.
stop the process. So you have to be around people who are going to encourage you. Now, once you have gone through the whole process and you've done your several drafts of your book,
Uh
then you
huh.
need to get with people who are going to be critical and tell you the truth and help you to shape and mold that into something that is of commercial value. If that's where you're going with this, if you want to sell the book, you need to have people who will be that person for you, so that you can move forward in the process. Yeah.
Okay.
And the biggest thing is not having enough discipline.
Mm, yes,
Yeah.
and self-discipline I know can be difficult in every aspect of life.
Yes. So you have to break down. You got to make, if you make that commitment, be sure you're ready for the long haul.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So where could people get your books, download your book, and find more information about yourself?
Well, they can go to my website, the
Mhm.
rhodesliterarygroup.com. You can purchase both books, Why and The Day Hate Stood Still. And you can go to Amazon and Barnes and Noble also. But I prefer you go to my website.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. So
Yeah.
make sure you guys hit up her website and get the books. They sound very, very interesting.
Thank you.
And I'm
Thank you.
sure a lot of us can relate to a lot that goes on in there.
Mm-hmm.
At this
Yeah.
time, I'm going to ask any of our viewers that have questions, go ahead and post your questions. We're going to move on to the game, this or that, where I'm going to give you two items and you have 5 seconds to choose which item you prefer. Okay?
Okay.
Started. Questions? Go ahead and post your questions. Next. Let's see. Disney World or the Bahamas?
The Bahamas.
What? Chipotle or Taco Bell?
Since I have to choose Chipotle.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Taco Bell. Some nights Taco Bell is the bomb. But
Hmm. Yeah.
Uber or Lyft?
Uber.
Okay. Um, this is a good one. Marriage or a career?
Oh. I'm gonna say marriage.
Like, wait a minute.
I'll say marriage.
Okay. Fiction or autobiographies?
Fiction. Hmm.
Okay. Only
Yeah.
because I'm hungry right now. Sour cream or salsa?
Salsa.
Cookies or chips?
Both. Okay. Chips first, and then I'll have cookies for
Okay,
dessert.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. Crunchy and salty together.
Yes.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Wine or rum?
Wine.
Okay. And lastly, ooh, Dancing with the Stars or The Voice?
Dancing with the Stars. Yeah. I'm
Okay,
gonna.
we're going to go to our public chat and see if we have any questions. Okay, we have a question, and I have glasses on, but there it is. Is it okay to mix writing styles while you're writing your book?
Um. Hmm. I would say you should try to stick with one style so that your book isn't all over the place. You
Okay.
want to have some consistency, especially if you are a first time writer. You need to get down the rules, so to speak,
Mhm.
um, before you begin to break the rules. It's okay sometimes to break the rules, but you need to know what the rules are and how they work. That way, when you break them, you're breaking them with a purpose, and it makes
Makes sense.
sense.
Makes sense. Thank you, Mr. Bard, for that question. Do we have any other questions?
Hmm.
Okay, while we're waiting on questions to come in. So you say you're married.
Hmm.
Um, how long have you been married? Are there any children?
Well, I have one daughter from my first marriage, and
Okay.
she is 27.
Well,
She's living on the East Coast, living her best life.
look
Shout
at
out
that.
to Imani. Hey.
Hey, Lonnie.
And very proud of her. And I have been married now for 9 years.
Okay.
Yes. And um, he has two sons. And so they're all grown. So we
Okay.
are empty nesters, and the
Okay.
babies are, I mean, the books are our babies.
Oh, okay. I was like, huh, baby. Okay. So, do you have any other books that we can be looking forward to? Are you working on anything new? Are you working on
Uh,
any new books? Do you have anything else coming out?
I am working on the third book in this series.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I haven't titled it yet, but after people read The Day Hate Stood Still,
Mhm,
they want to know what else is going on with the characters.
mhm,
And I got to tell you, when I finished the first book, I thought that I was done with the Box family. I
mhm,
really was done with them. But after, going to book clubs and getting reviews and things, people said, we want to know what else is going on with these people. And so that's what led me to the second one. And I thought I was done there. And now
uh-huh.
people are saying the same thing.
Okay. Series are good. You get to develop those characters, especially when the readers are asking for it and you're giving them what they want.
Hmm.
Okay, we have
Exactly.
another question from Miss Knight, Francine Knight. What do you mean about a rule in writing? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I'm not saying that you have to do things this,
Mhm,
so strict, but the rule meaning, because the gentleman asked, can you mix your writing styles?
mhm,
And I'm just saying, if you start off one way as a new writer, you may want to continue on with that because you might get a little tripped up too. You
right.
can experiment with it if you want to. I mean, that's the beauty of writing. You get to allow your mind to take you wherever it's going to take you, especially when it's fiction. You get to do that, but you still, um, in the formatting of it, you still, it's not just whatever you want, you know.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to even explain it, but there are still some rules to it. You have rules in terms of developing your characters.
Mhm,
You don't want your character to your main character is supposed to be your main character, and that person
mhm,
is leading the story. You don't want them to start off leading the story and then they drop off and then we never hear from them again. That
mhm.
particular rule. Um, so things like that. That's what I'm referring to.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I just have a question based on this whole conversation about the rules of writing and um, when it comes to genres, different genres of writing, when you are writing a book, you finish it and you're about to publish it, who determines if it's a mystery or if it's a romantic book? Is that something is that a category you put your book in a certain categories, or do the publishing company do that, or do you go based on what the readers say? How is that determined?
Well, you are pretty much determining what genre you're writing in, and you're
Mm,
determining that based on the particular how you're telling this story.
mm-hmm,
So you know that if it's a romance novel, we need to see or read about people falling in love, falling out of love, trying to get over love, things like that. If
mm,
it's a mystery, we know that normally there is a murder involved
mm,
in that, and we're trying to figure out who did it or why they did it or how they did it. And so um, those are quote unquote rules,
right.
that you need to follow when you're writing in certain genres.
Okay.
But you normally determine that. Now, it could be where in your mind you are thinking that you have written in a particular genre,
Right.
but once your publisher or whomever gets a hold of it and they see that, well, no, really, this is something else, and
Right.
they can help you to make that decision.
Okay. So Mr. Bard is back with clarification. He says when I'm asking about mixing, it was in regards to narrating and the letting the characters speak their truth in the same book.
Yeah, so normally you're going to do one or the other. And that's what
Okay.
I was talking about.
Yeah.
You don't want to get confused and you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to confuse your reader.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to start off um, with the characters speaking, which is what I have done, um, then you want to have that same theme throughout the entire book. You can try it. And I'm not saying that you can't do it. You can try it, but this is where it comes in when maybe a more experienced writer will know how to navigate that and
Right.
how to do it in a way that makes sense. So you
Mm-hmm.
want to speak in first person and you want to speak in the third person as well. So a more experienced writer can handle that. Um, just starting off, I would say choose one or the other. That
Right.
way, it'll be easier for you because when you get into this writing process, you will get tripped up. Your
Mm-hmm.
characters aren't talking to you right, or the plot isn't going right. So you have a lot of things going on, the mechanics of the book. Um, and so you don't want to add to the frustration.
Right. And also, you want
Hmm.
to think about the readers, because I know of many of books that I've read where I had to go back to chapter 2 to try to figure this out and figure that out, and you give up on the book. So,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So try to be as clear as you can. Um, and keep the reader as intrigued as you possibly can.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
Do we have
Yes.
any other questions from our viewing audience?
See, if you had asked me that question, because I was watching one of your previous interviews, and
Mm.
you asked Zenora
Uh-huh.
if she preferred vodka or water.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I hope she asked me that question because I prefer Grey Goose to water.
What?
But rum, not so much. I'm not doing rum.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that. I'm not a
Mhm.
rum girl either, but I'll do some Grey Goose. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? I'm sorry. No. Okay, so share with our viewers one more time the best way to reach you and where they can purchase your books.
So they can reach me on all the social medias at DA Rhodes. You can go to my website, therhodesliterarygroup.com. Rhodes is Rhodes, literarygroup.com. And you can go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble to purchase the books as well. And I just want to let people know that I also am the founder of the Rhodes Literary Group, which is a nonprofit organization.
Uh-huh.
And what we do is we help people to start and finish their books. We help them get them published. We talk about marketing, and we also talk about turning the book into a business. And
Nice. Okay.
with the Rhodes Literary Group, we have an annual event. It's called the Authors Brunch. Now, normally it is held the last Sunday in June. This would
Mm-hmm.
be our 8th year.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks to Mr. Corona or Miss Corona, uh, right now we have pushed it back to August, and I'm not even sure if we
Okay.
are going to have it in August.
Right.
But the brunch is where we invite a New York Times bestselling author to come in. And
Mm-hmm.
we've had people like Kimberly Lawson Roby, um,
Ooh.
Rashonda Tate Billingsley, Omar
Uh-huh.
Tyree, um, people like that to come in and talk about their writing careers, talk about their journey, and I do a one-on-one interview with them. So we have
Mm-hmm.
about 200 people. We also invite book clubs and aspiring authors because the whole thing
Mm-hmm.
is to give people the encouragement and the courage
Mm-hmm.
to take the next step in their literary career. And it
Nice.
gives book clubs an opportunity to come face to face with some of their favorite authors. This year we had planned, well, we still have planned for April Sinclair to be our guest. She
Okay.
is the author of Coffee Will Make You Black.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So um,
So that's in August. Is that on a weekend or during the week or
it's a 2-day event. It's August 29th and 30th. It's a Saturday and a Sunday.
okay.
And the Saturday is an all day workshop. That's where we
Mm-hmm.
handle all of the how to get started, published, and all of that. And then Sunday is the brunch. And we give out scholarships to high school seniors or college kids who are either majoring in creative writing or journalism,
Okay.
because those are both passions of mine. So that, that's something that I have been doing, like I said, for the past 8 years, and it is a really nice event. We have about 200 people to come out,
Okay, we're
so
gonna have to reach out to you definitely. That would be a nice book club trip for our book club.
it would
So
definitely it would.
any
And
aspiring writers, so they just need to go to your website to get more information about your nonprofit.
yes, just
Okay.
go to that website. Yeah, and then I mentioned earlier that I have the first book, Why, is being turned into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll be talking with Daryl Sledge. He is a filmmaker out of New York. He's an
Mm-hmm.
award-winning filmmaker. So he is the person who's going to turn this into a movie. So I'll
Is
keep you guys posted
definitely,
on what's
definitely.
going on with that.
We'll be
Hmm.
looking forward to it.
Thank
We
you.
will be
Thank you.
looking
Thank
forward
you.
to it. Do you have anything else you would like to share with us on this evening?
Well, I just want to say thank you guys so much on Another Level Book Club for reaching out to me and sending me this invitation to come and talk to you and your audience. This is a dream come true. You know, it is book clubs are really the lifeline for authors, and
Right.
um, because a lot of book clubs, if you are new or if you're self-published or relatively unknown, book clubs are not just reaching out to you saying, "Come on and be a part of our discussion this month."
Mm-hmm.
You guys are very sophisticated now and very discriminative when it comes to who you're going to choose to read. And so I consider this a great honor that you would even let me come on and talk.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
And we found so many jewels just in reaching out to new authors and,
mhm.
because you never know. Everyone has to start somewhere, and
Yes.
we truly believe in supporting the sister, supporting the brother because it's
Yeah.
hard. It's
It
hard.
it is. So
There's
this
a
is
lot
great.
of
Kudos
well,
to Sharon and Tony for
thank
doing
you so
this
much.
for
Thank
us.
you. Thank you for giving us some of your time this evening. Um, go ahead and go to the website, preferably the website, and get the book Why and the Day Hate Stood Still. We want to
Hmm.
make sure we support Miss Rose. Miss Rose, thank you for joining us this evening. It has been a pleasure. It really has been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Going to ask everyone to join us next week, same time and same place, as we chatted up with Naomi Smith, author of Worth the Wait. Thank you again
Mm.
for joining us this evening. And remember, everyone, reading give us some place to go when we have to stay where we are. Stay safe, stay put, and stay in. Have a good evening.